Hello and welcome to my studio. In this video I'm going to show you how I made this picture. Including the reflection of the subject in water, it's possible to add a dynamic element by disturbing the surface. Together with careful lighting, the resultant image can have real impact. And in this video I'm going to show you exactly how I did it. Okay, so this is what I've got set up so far. I've got an old baking tray here, and in that baking tray I've put some water. So the next thing I need is the subject. So this is going to be the subject. This is just some flowers and some leaves and stalks and things. So what I'm going to do is just arrange a few parts of this plant along the back of the baking tray here. What I'm trying to do is just disguise the interface between the water and the baking tray just along the back edge. Right, so with that in place, place the flower. There we go. And the idea here is that I'm just trying to get everything to look reasonably natural. I don't want to go overboard. Don't want to make it look too false and too set up. There we go. Pop a few leaves along the bottom here. We can probably put some more in as we go along. That'll probably do for now. Okay, so with that in place, I'll move on to the camera. Now this is what I'm going to be using to capture the image. This is a full frame digital SLR with a 24-70 zoom lens on the front and a flash sync trigger on the top. Now, the flash sync trigger is also capable of controlling the energy in the studio heads I'll be using. The camera is tethered into Capture One software, so it's easy to see the results as we go along. So to set the shot up, what I'm going to do, just pop the camera on this tripod, and I'll just look through the viewfinder. So the first thing I want to do is just elevate the camera somewhat using the geared center column on this tripod. Somewhere around here, something like that. The idea is that I'll be able to look across the water at the flower. So I just need to tilt the angle of the camera down slightly, something similarly. And we'll just zoom that all the way in to the 70mm end on the lens. There we go. And we'll just focus that up. Okay. So with that something like set, what I can do now is turn the camera on. And the software has recognized the camera. And these are all the settings that I have on the camera at the moment. So it's in full manual mode. I'm using a shutter speed of 1/250th of a second, which is the flash sync speed for that camera, ISO 100, and an aperture of f8, which I think should be sufficient for this subject. Okay, so without any flash set, what I'll do is just grab an image. So that just shows that there is no contamination to speak of from the house lights. So the next thing to do would be to set a flash up, or studio head, to illuminate the subject. Now what I'm going to do here is, using a retort stand, one of these, what I'm going to do is just set a very small head around here somewhere. I want it to be in line with the camera, on the camera axis. And also looking towards the subject from well in front of it. The reason I want to do that is so that I can maximize the reflection in the water without having a highlight in the water from the light. So for that I'm going to use this studio head with a reflector on it, and basically I'm just going to attach that to the retort stand. So pointing it vaguely at the subject, something like that. So pop that out there somewhere, like that. There we go. Now obviously this is a 2-pack system, so it needs to have a pack to go with it. So I'll just plug that in. There we go, and just turn on the pack. So at an arbitrary energy level, what I can do now is just grab an image and we'll just see what sort of thing we get. So from this image I can see that the exposure is possibly a little high. I might take a stop off that, and the composition just needs altering ever so slightly. So the first thing to do then would be to take a stop off the energy. So I'll just do that from the remote. There we go. And I'll just tilt the camera down ever so slightly. There, something like that. So with those adjustments made, we'll just grab that again. Yes, I think that's a better exposure, possibly still a little bright. I might take about 1/3 of a stop off that, but the composition also needs some adjustment. I want a few more leaves down this side, I think. Okay, so the first thing to do, just take that down by 1/3 of a stop. Like so. And we'll just alter the composition a little, just to add a few more bits down this side. With those adjustments, we'll just grab that again. There, that seems to be a bit better of a composition. So the whole thing is centered on the flower, and we've got some leaves going on in the background. Okay, so with that part set up, the next thing to do would be to look at creating the background. So what I had in the original image was a graduated background with a highlight or hotspot in the middle. I did this by using this C-stand with a piece of card on it. So basically what I've got is a piece of background card, and this is grey on one side and it's white on the other, and I've just put a couple of clips on the top of it here, so it's easy to just slide onto this grip arm like so. There we are. Now hopefully I've placed this in just about the right position so that it will fill the field of view of the camera. So to check for that, I'm just going to look through the viewfinder, and yeah, that seems to be filling the field of view. If I just temporarily zoom that out ever so slightly, you can see the edges there, so I'll put it back at 70mm, and that's filling the field of view quite nicely. Okay, so the next thing to do will be to illuminate this background. So again, what I'm going to use is a retort stand, which I've got here. I'm just going to place this at the back. Using a retort stand means that I can place the light a lot lower so that it doesn't appear in the picture. So here I have another head. I'm just going to put this on this stand, like that. There we go. And once again, we'll just plug that into this pack. There we are. So at an arbitrary energy level, I'll just take an image just to grab some idea of the exposure. So there we go. From an exposure point of view, it's not bad, but what I actually want is to concentrate this a little more. So the way that I want to do that is just to add a snoot to this light. So I've just made a snoot out of some cardboard, and we'll just pop that on here, just like that. And that should just concentrate it a little more and give a bit more of a graduation. Grab that again. Yes, that's instantly a lot better. I think it's possibly still a little bright. I might just take half a stop off that particular head. So I'll select the head and just take half a stop off it. There we go. So with that change made, we'll just grab that again. Yes, that's a little better. So just a final look around the image. I can see that I've actually left the board in here, so there's just a bit of a distraction at this side, and the end of this stem is showing, so I'll just put a leaf or something similar over that. So we'll just make those changes and just grab that again. Yes, I think that's about ready now for the final part of this picture, which is to actually just disturb the surface of the water whilst I'm taking the picture. Now, to do that, I'm just going to use this eyedropper and basically just grab some of the water here and then just drip the water in as I'm taking the picture. Just a case of getting the timing right. There we go. That's the sort of thing. There. And basically the reflection just gets broken up that little bit. So you can see in this one that we've got a broken up reflection, which is looking pretty good. That's just the sort of thing that I wanted. Okay, so with that now captured, it just remains to go into Photoshop and do the post-production. So here we are in Photoshop, and I've loaded up the file of the image that I captured earlier. So the first thing to do is just to make a copy of this so that I can leave the camera original alone. And the way that I prefer to do this is just to go onto the layer here, right click the mouse, ask for a duplicate layer, but ask for a new document. I will just call that reflection. Click on OK, and Photoshop has made me a new document called reflection at the top here. So I can dispense with the camera original. Right, so with that out of the way, the next thing to do, I think, would be to look at cropping it first, and then we'll look at anything else that needs to be done. So I'm just going to go to the crop tool. Now I'm picking a specific ratio because I'm using this for video, which is 16:9. And what I want to do is just move the image ever so slightly up in the frame, I think, just to make sure that I get the end of the petal here in at the bottom and all these reflections. Okay. Right, so with that done, there's just a bit of tidying up to do on the edges, and I think the way to do that would be to generally vignette the whole image. So what I'm going to do, and there's lots of different ways to do this, but this is just one way that I quite like. I'm going to add another layer, and in this empty layer I'm just going to fill that with black. So black is the foreground colour. I'll just use the paint bucket tool and just fill the layer, like so. So with this layer now completely black, it's obscuring the image which is underneath it. So if I turn that layer off, the image comes back. So what I want to do is just erase the center of this image. So to do that, I'm just going to go to the eraser tool and just pick a reasonably large brush, which is very soft, and we'll just pull the image back through that again, like so, and all those reflections. Are. So with that done, there we have it. So by disturbing the surface of the water, it's been possible to add a dynamic element to this image. and due to the careful lighting, we've maximised the reflections in the water. And all in all, I think that's worked very well. Okay, well I hope you enjoyed seeing how I made that image, and if you like watching these sort of things, do click on the other images as they appear, and don't forget to subscribe. Oh, and hit the like button. Thank you very much for watching.